What I learned in my previous life is that, in fact, the medium is the message. This is a famous phrase coined by a man named Marshall McLuhan. Thank you, McLuhan fans. That's great. The medium is the message. Here's what he means by that. What he means to say is that how you say something matters as much or more than what you say. How you say something matters more or as much as what you say. What you use to communicate with will determine how your message is received and understood. So, what that means is this. We can sit around and we can have a debate about the latest reality TV show, and we can ask whether it's good or bad, whether it's artistically good or bad, or whether it's morally good or bad. All the while, we sit oblivious to the fact that the flickering mosaic of pixelated light that forms a TV screen repatterns neural pathways in your brain, completely altering the way you perceive and understand the world, but unbeknownst to you. The screens you're looking at my face on right now are repatterning neural pathways in your brain that you don't even know about. What that means is the content of any particular medium is like the magician's sleight of hand distracting us while the medium slips the watch from our wrist. Now, this doesn't mean everything's bad or everything's awful or that we should get rid of it or we should ignore it or deny it. It just means that we need to understand it. And right now, most of us don't. So let me just give you a simple example of why this is true. I know this is hard to imagine, but why this is true. In advertising, we learned this, and I got to go quick because there's some other stuff I need to get to, but here's the simple way to put it. We learned a really, really powerful difference between written words or printed words and images as mediums. Here's what we learned. Printed words, when a human reads printed words, they are processed primarily in the left hemisphere of the brain, which processes information in abstract, sequential, logical, mathematical, reasonable ways. When you show an image, images are processed in the right hemisphere of the brain, and they have a concrete, intuitive encounter rather than a logical, abstract, mathematical expression. Two very different ways that information is processed. Here's why that matters to advertisers, and they learned this in about the 50s and the 60s. They figured something out. When you try to sell something and you use an essay to do it, it invites argument. It engages the left hemisphere of the brain, and the brain wants to then argue about those features and benefits and whether or not what was said is true and whether that's logically accurate or factual. What they learned is that the moment you start using images instead of words to sell things, it pins the logical side of the brain to the back of the skull, bypassing it, giving you this wonderful experience. And the moment you use images, you no longer debate anything. So if you want to sell something, images are the way to go. Another thing we learned that images and words are not interchangeable. You've heard the phrase, a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, that statement misunderstands the nature of these two media. They are not interchangeable. They are fundamentally different modes of doing things. It is the same reason that I could not do this presentation using smoke signals or interpretive dance. Though I'm sure some of you would like to see that. I heard someone cheering. You know, I am more than a body and a great dancer, okay? I'm a person. So I'm not gonna, that's not how, all right? I'm gonna keep talking. So I know this may be disturbing, but you all have been incredibly gracious so far. You've been sitting here for close to 7 minutes without seeing an ad. And in this culture, about every 7 minutes, you look at an ad. And so to kind of calm you down, I want to show you an ad that will say what I'm trying to say better than I can. So we'll roll that ad now.
Hey, I saw this brilliant film last night on Canal Plus. The Emperor's Journey.
The Emperor's Journey.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's set in the Antarctic.
Really?
There are hundreds of emperors, and they're all marching across these ice fields for days and days. Sometimes they slide on their bellies, to go faster. And at one point, one of them gets eaten by a seal. It's horrible. Yeah, but there's some really moving moments, too. Like when they pass their eggs to each other. Yeah, because before that they were all mating. For hours.
It's a great ad, isn't it? Movies are made to be seen. Very true. The medium is the message. How you say something will shape how it's understood.